Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Kelly Masigian, and I am one of the career counselors in the Career Center. And I am joined today by Jordan Webb. If you want to do a quick introduction, Jordan.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us bright and early on a Friday. I know that takes a lot of effort, so welcome. My name is Jordan Webb. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I currently serve as the Assistant Director in Student Involvement with oversight over our campus programming and leadership development. Really excited to be with you this morning. And I'll pass it over to my colleague, Anita.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. We're super excited to have you here. My name is Anita Manuel. I'm the Associate Director for Career Education at the Career Center, and really happy that you're able to join us so we can talk a little bit more about leadership and career, and also just excited to help you guys learn more about the conference that's also taking place next week.
All right, so you will hear more from both Jordan and Anita in a little bit, but I'm going to be the one that's kicking off the first part of this session. So if you want to go ahead and take it to the next slide, Jordan, thank you. So this is just an overview of what the schedule is for today. From 10 to 10:30, I'm going to be doing a program overview of the conference that will be taking place next Friday. And then from 10:30 to 11, Jordan is going to be doing a leadership overview. And then from 11 to 11:45, Anita is going to be leading a networking 101 session to get everybody prepared to do some networking next Friday or at any other events that you might be attending. And then we'll do some wrap up and next steps and any Q&A. Obviously, we'll handle Q&A throughout the morning, but we'll have a special time slot for Q&A that at the end as well, after you've gotten to see everything else. So that's kind of how today is going to go. Anita is putting the check-in form in the chat. So make sure that you check in on that form just to let us know who's here. The form does have an option if one of you is in a class where the faculty said, I'll give you extra credit for attending either today's session or next Friday's session. If that's not the case and you're just here because you want to have this information, just click no, and there's no issue with that at all. So just a little bit something different about this check-in form, and you'll want to be checking in for the conference and networking success session for 1014, because there are several options for what you're checking in for, and you're only checking in for today's session today. When you come next Friday, if you're attending virtually, you'll see, you'll use those other options. All right. Next slide, let's just jump into it. Again, I'm Kelly Masigian. I'm one of the career counselors in the Career Center on campus, and I support the College of Engineering, but I also am the experiential team lead, which is why I'm involved in the Spartan Leadership and Career Conference with student involvement. It's one of our big events. Next slide. All right, so let's just jump right in. If you've already registered for next Friday, show of hands, who's already registered for next Friday? Jordan. All right, Lillian, great. Inayal, yes, yay. All right, so there's still time, but if you're already registered for next Friday, you should have received a shareable agenda in the confirmation through Handshake, and it goes through things very similar to this, only it's actually going to have even more detail as far as who's going to be on the panels and things like that. So I'm just going to run through what to expect for the day as far as the schedule for next week. So for in-person participants, we're going to have check-in between 8:45 and 9:15. There'll be breakfast available. That won't be the only time you can check in. You can come at any point during the day, but that's just when we're initially opening the doors, and we'll have breakfast ready for those in-person participants. Whether you are attending in person or online, we will have a welcome and logistics session at 9:15, just sort of letting you know what to expect for the day, much like I'm going to be doing now. And then at 9:30, we are honored to have Jamal Williams, our Director of Advocacy for Racial Justice and Community and Government Relations. That's a mouthful, but all of those things. He's going to be talking to us about developing your authentic leadership style. And then that will be followed by an alumni panel that I will be moderating, and then an employer panel that Anita Manuel will be moderating. And I have a future slide that talks more specifically. This is the broad overview. I've got a future slide that'll talk more specifically about who we're expecting on those panels. Then for those people that will be in person, we'll be serving lunch and we'll have an in-person networking hour. For virtual, we will have a virtual networking hour as well. So whether you are attending in person or virtually, you'll still be able to participate in a networking hour. It will be different people participating in those two opportunities. And both will also have campus resources on site or virtually to talk to you. So we're going to invite some campus partners, the student success centers, some other leadership opportunities on campus to make sure that you're aware of all the options that are available to you if your focus is leadership opportunities. All right, next slide. So in the afternoon, we're going to have breakout sessions. So there'll be 2 options for those that are attending in person and 2 options for those who are attending virtually. In person, we're going to have the City of San Jose joining us. Their Community Energy Department is going to be leading a session about planning for, buying, and using electricity for low carbon future in San Jose, and what can you do? And basically what they're going to do is they're going to present to you what the challenges and planning process is that the city has to go through to plan on how do we make sure we have enough energy for our energy needs within the city. And then they're going to ask for student feedback, so that you can think about the challenges, especially as we're looking at going to carbon neutrality by 2030. They're going to need to think about energy in a different way and making sure that we have the supply that we need. And you will be able to provide input into the plans that are actually going to be turned in on October 25th. So this is real world challenge right here on campus. So that's going to be an exciting session. The other in-person session, well, I'll let Jordan speak to that.
Yeah, that's my session. All right, so yes, really excited about these professional development breakout sessions. So these are the most interactive portion of the conference, where you'll have the opportunity to actually practice some things outside of the classroom that will help you in your career and your life. And that's why I'm doing a breakout session about active listening. And basically what that is, if you're not familiar with it, it's the practice of, when we're having a conversation with someone, we're always focusing on what are we going to say next? What's an anecdote that I can bring up? Or, oh, I have this cool idea based on what you're talking about. Active listening is a way to slow down your conversation and make sure you're actually hearing the other person that you're talking to. It's really useful, when you're having a dialogue with someone, when you're communicating as a professional team in any kind of atmosphere. And it's just useful in your daily life with relationships that you have, with family that you cherish. Active listening is a crucial tool that you can kind of put in your tool belt and keep in mind as you're going about your daily life to have better and more meaningful conversations with those around you. So I'm really excited to be leading that session as our second in-person session. So if you're joining us in the ballroom next Friday, in addition to the food and we got some swag and things like that at lunchtime to give out to you, you'll be able to choose from one of these 2 sessions. And we also have 2 virtual sessions that you can choose from because this is a hybrid conference, meaning we will be up in the Student Union Ballroom on Friday, but we'll also be live streaming the morning events that Kelly mentioned, the alumni panel, the Bay Area employer panel that we're going to talk a little bit more about in just a moment. And so your involvement in the conference doesn't have to stop there if you're joining us virtually. So we're going to have two different additional sessions. One of them is just what is leadership? I'm actually going to be speaking a little bit about that in just a few moments, but my colleague Alexis Gracer, who currently serves as the Leadership Development Coordinator in Student Involvement, will be diving even deeper into some of the ideas and concepts that I'll be talking about, along with making, having some activities and maybe some worksheets and things like that you can work through so that you have something to take with you after this conference professional experience, skills and ideas that you can build upon. So that's a little bit about leadership. I won't go much more into it without spoiling what I'm going to talk about. Kelly, can you tell us about the other virtual session?
Absolutely. The other virtual session is going to be about marketing your leadership skills. You're attending this conference, you're hearing all these great ideas about how to be a leader in lots of different aspects of your life. But how do you communicate that to employers? And this session is going to focus on resume and LinkedIn as far as how do you share your leadership experience in the context of the career path that you're wanting to pursue. So that will also have some activities as far as creating some of those accomplishment statements where you describe your experience on the resume, as well as maybe working on your headline for your LinkedIn or maybe your About You section. So definitely we'll have some real world takeaways from that session as well. And then for those of us that will be in person, we're going to gather back in the ballroom to just do some closing reflection. And all of those closing activities will take place as part of the virtual sessions as well. So if you're attending the virtual breakout sessions, you won't be missing out on the closing activities. We're just not going to be doing that piece live streamed from the ballroom. So that'll be handled individually within the virtual sessions, and then we'll have the same activities going on in person. Any questions about just the flow of the day on next Friday? And thank you, Jordan, for the clarification on the live streaming. So, and you can come physically in the morning, and then if one of the virtual sessions is more appealing to you, there's no reason you can't do part in person and part virtual. As Jordan mentioned, we will have swag for the networking hour in person, but we're also going to have some giveaways for the networking hour virtually. So even if you can't be on campus, there'll still be interesting things for you to win. All right, next slide. Take a deeper dive into some of these. So as promised, this is what we've currently got going for the panels. I'm still waiting on confirmation of one or two more employers, but this is the confirmations that I have to date. So we will be having 4 different alumni joining us. We have a 2015 business and marketing major, a 2016 child and adolescent development major, a 2011 Master of Public Administration graduate, as well as a 2021 mechanical engineering major. So lots of different perspectives. We'll be asking us a series of questions to these panelists about what they found to be most helpful in their time at San Jose State and what advice they wish they had about being involved, or how to translate their campus involvement into their future career, whether that is informing the career or whether that is just communicating that information to potential employers. So definitely some interesting insights will be coming from that. And then on the employer side, We have the deputy city manager of the city of San Jose coming, so that's exciting, as well as the senior director for global talent and intelligence sourcing and engagement from ServiceNow, and the campus engagement specialist from Blue Origin. If for those of you who may not recognize that name, that's one of the private space companies, you know, that recently sent individuals up into space. So definitely some interesting things here. And as I said, we should be adding at least one more person to the employer panel. Just haven't gotten that confirmed yet. But the agenda that you got sent when you register for the conference and Handshake is a Google Doc that I'm updating as these things happen. So be sure to check back there to find out what the most recent happenings are. And then some of these are italicized to indicate that they will be joining the in-person networking hour. And I believe the next slide has additional people that are signed up for the in-person networking hour. If we could get the next slide. All right, so in addition to the panelists that are staying on for the networking hour, these are additional people that will be joining us for the in-person networking hour. We've got our presenters from the community energy department. So these are the two people that will be presenting the breakout session for the city of San Jose. They will be joining us for the networking hour, as well as we're gonna have some members of the human resources team from city of San Jose joining us. We've got, in addition to our panelists from ServiceNow that's joining the employer panel, we've got two other members from the ServiceNow team that are going to be joining us for the in-person networking hour. And I happen to know that ServiceNow has a box of swag being sent to my office as we speak, so that they will have swag at their networking table. And then Blue Origin, oh, I shouldn't have had that because I already had him on the panelists, but I'm just really excited about Blue Origin coming apparently. And then we will also be joined by a 2019 computer engineering major as an alumni person joining our networking hour in person. We will have a virtual networking hour, and I am in the process of confirming those participants. So I don't have specific participants to share at this point, but that shareable agenda will be updated as soon as I confirm those participants. Emails are flying fast and furious, but we will definitely have some options for our virtual participants to network with. And we will also have members of our student involvement office. So if you have questions about leadership activities on campus and different things like that, there will be some student involvement folks joining that virtual networking hour as well. All right, next slide. All right, so benefits. Why should you attend next week's conference? You get to practice being in a professional conference atmosphere for free. You know, that's always fun. And then you're practicing skills, you're getting to network. That's why we're doing the networking session today, to get you ready and feeling confident to be able to network with our panelists and our networking participants next week. And just general communication, talking about yourself, giving your introduction to various people, whether that be fellow students that are attending, or our panelists, or our staff members that will be circulating throughout the day. So communication skills is always something that employers are looking for. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to practice that as well, and within our breakout sessions as well. You get to hear from alumni and employers about what led to their success, so you can figure out what your pathway to success is going to be. And then you get to meet like-minded Spartans. This is open to all majors and all school years. So you get to expand your network within the university by being able to interact with students that you may not see in your everyday classes because they're in a different major or in a different class year, or maybe they're master's students as opposed to undergraduate students. So lots of different student-to-student networking opportunities as well, to find out who's into leadership activities on campus. And then, of course, free food. Yeah, that's always a plus. So we will be having breakfast and lunch for our in-person participants. So we're really excited to be doing this preparatory session today to help you feel comfortable about what's coming and feel that the conference is accessible to you, because it really is intended to be for all school years and all majors. And we don't want you to feel like you're not invited, because all of you are. Let's see. Any questions about just the general what to expect as far as what's happening next week, in person versus virtual opportunities?
Kelly, I have a question. If
Yes,
the
Jordan.
audience doesn't. I'm going to go back to the slide where we're talking about our alumni panel and our
Yes.
Bay Area employer panel.
Mhm.
So could you share with students like what types of questions are usually asked with these types of panels? And
Absolutely.
if I'm a student trying to come to the conference, what would I get out of both of these panel opportunities?
Yes, let me actually pull those questions up just a moment so I can give some actual examples.
I mean, from my lens, just to share on the student involvement side, these are folks that have either moved on from San Jose State and have started to accomplish incredible things, and they likely have skills and resources that they tapped into during their time here at SJSU that have made them successful in whatever industry that they're in. And the employer panel, these are Bay Area employers, and they're looking for, new young professionals, and they're looking for particular skills, particular experiences, things that students can point to that make them unique and a good applicant. So at least from my lens, those are some benefits of being a part of those experiences, and just hearing from other folks of like, what do you look for from a young professional in your career field, or just in any professional setting in general?
And we do ask those kinds of questions, and that's absolutely true. From the alumni standpoint, these people are recent alums for the most part, who have been in your shoes recently. So hearing from them about what skills they feel that they're applying from the activities that they did on campus in their jobs, because you might be taking classes or participating in things and you're like, how is this going to translate to the rest of my life? And these people can answer those questions, because they can say, well, I was involved in this club and I gained this skill that I am using every day, because you don't necessarily think about those what we call transferable skills, because not everything that you do is going to be specifically related to your academics, your major, your career course, but that doesn't mean that you're not gaining valuable skills from those activities. So one of the things that our alumni panel can highlight is, what are the skills that I gained from my different campus involvements, and how am I using that in my job today? So without spoiling the specific questions, absolutely, that's the kinds of information that's going to come out of that panel. And as far as the employer panel, we're looking at, what do they look for? How do I stand out in the hiring process? So whether I'm planning to apply to the city of San Jose or ServiceNow or any other company, what kinds of things do the recruiters, the leaders look for, and how am I going to stand out in that process? So those are the kinds of things that the employer panel will speak to. Thank you for that question, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. And selfishly, it's the perfect transition into my topic. So nobody else had a question. I knew I had a question.
No worries, no worries. All right. So shall we transition to the leadership
Let's
section?
do it.
All
yeah.
right.
I'll take
You're
every
on.
minute I can get.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, again, thanks everyone for being here. Or if you're watching the recording, welcome. Hope you're doing well. My name is Jordan Webb. I use him, his pronouns once again, and I currently serve as the Assistant Director in Student Involvement. Our office is right across from the Jamba Juice in the Student Union. If you've never walked by or seen it before. And the Spartan Leadership and Career Conference is a partnership between the Career Center, so the career aspect, and student involvement. And that's where the leadership aspect comes in. So what I hope to do, within the next 30 minutes or so is to just do a brief overview of what the Office of Student Involvement is, what areas of campus do we oversee, and what does that really mean as far as getting involved on campus, and what are the benefits to you in doing something like that. We're going to connect involvement on campus in general to the idea of quote unquote leadership. I'll be perfectly honest, for myself, leadership is in my job title, and it's not really my favorite word. I feel like it's just kind of a word that people use to say something, but not enough people understand what that can mean in your daily life and for you as a person. So we're going to dig a little bit more into what leadership can mean for you as an individual person, preparing to enter the career field, into the professional sphere, sometime in the near future, right? And what's that intersection of leadership for the future and what you can do right now to start practicing some of these skills that we're going to talk about and kind of craft your own leadership identity, if you will. And then finally, we'll mention some on-campus resources. Student involvement handles a lot of opportunities on campus to get involved in your community, but by no means do we do everything on campus. So we'll share a little bit more about other opportunities that you might be interested in looking into and how that can help you, again, think about yourself as a leader in our community and how you can take that with you to life after SJSU, because that's going to happen eventually, right? So let's go ahead and jump right in and talk a little bit more about the Office of Student Involvement. And when we think of our office, there's 4 different areas on campus that we support. So number 1, you can see right there, is leadership programs. So this is a partnership between student involvement leadership programs and the Career Center. You can see here the Spartan Leadership and Career Conference being one of the flagship programs that we support every single academic year. So there's a few different opportunities. Some of them are very small group. Some of them are online with hundreds of other students at the same time. We really strive to provide free, accessible opportunities for you to think about what skills you're learning outside of the classroom, and how you can leverage those in your daily life. And I'll be going into more detail about some of these in just a few slides. But we've got other things. We've got campus programming. So in addition to, leadership programs, we also just organize various fun events. So for example, you probably either heard of Weeks of Welcome or attended an event that occurred during Weeks of Welcome. There was over 130 different events that you could attend in the first 6 weeks of this fall 2022 semester. We definitely do not organize all of them, but we collect all of those opportunities for you so that you as a student can see everything that SJSU has to offer for you to engage in, and for you to pick and choose, what is the best things for me to attend with my class schedule, with my job, with things that I'm interested in, right? You can't possibly go to everything that is on our campus, but you can make good decisions, smart decisions, and informed decisions about what you can participate in. So we manage that. We also manage our Spartan Speaker Series. So every semester we bring 3 or 4 distinguished public figures to come to campus, either in person or virtually, to share their experiences, their life journey, and offer advice and just kind of camaraderie with students. So this week we actually had Dolores Huerta, who is the co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, alongside Cesar Chavez as a part of our Legacy Month here at San Jose State. Incredible opportunity to hear, an activist with such power and influence talk about her journey and some of the things that she's learned along the way. We also support students during finals week. So we've got, we usually set up tents around campus where you can swing by and, grab a snack before heading into that final. If you forgot your Scantron, we've got Scantrons on hand for you, free of charge. That's what campus programs are. Ways for you to feel connected to our community, and ways that we can give back to you as a student, because you give so much to our institution to begin with. We also manage all of our recognized student organizations on campus, AKA clubs. So typically any academic year, we have between 350 to 450 student clubs that you can join. And if it sounds overwhelming, it kind of is. You can't possibly join and be involved in everything. But again, we can provide information to you and kind of guide you along that journey in what should I get involved in, what makes sense for me as an individual. And when we talk about student clubs, there's 5 different categories that we use to talk about them here at San Jose State. You have your academic organizations, and we typically lump like career-based organizations in there as well. Honor societies, some of them are like a very specific major-based, things like that. We also have a wide variety of cultural and religious organizations. So if you identify with a particular faith or cultural, racial, ethnic background, there's likely a group of students here that already has a community that you can be a part of, and share that space, and find Spartans with similar backgrounds and life stories. We also have special interest clubs. That basically means I'm really passionate about this specific thing. So it could be something fun like the Pokemon Club, or it could be activism based of like I'm very passionate about a particular political issue. There are a wide variety of special interests that our students have. We also have sports clubs. So these are competitive team-based organizations. It's not like the NCAA where you're traveling all the way across the country and you get a scholarship and things like that. But it is organized travel and competition against other universities. So if you're on our sport baseball club, you would be practicing on a regular basis and then going and playing a game against a similar sports club at a different university. So if you have a sport that you're really passionate about, but you're not a full-time student athlete, it can be a good outlet for you to continue to practice that, and just have that like constant thing that gives you that drive in your daily life. And then we have fraternities and sororities. That's the final area that we support. We have over 40 different fraternity and sorority organizations on campus. They're spread across 4 different governing councils. So basically there's a group of students that advise and make decisions for these groups as a whole. They range in size, and there's also particular fraternities and sororities based on affinity group. So for example, we have 8 of the 9 historically African American or Black fraternities and sororities on campus. And we also have these types of organizations for Asian American, Latinx students, a whole multitude of culturally based identities. So however you identify, and if that's a way that you want to express yourself as a part of fraternity and sorority life, we likely have an organization for you as well. And all of this information is available on our website. It's sjsu.edu/get involved. I'll copy paste that in the chat after our session here. That's a little bit about student involvement overall. And now just wanted to talk a little bit about just getting involved on your college campus in general. So you can see the first bullet point here. In student involvement, we believe participating in activities outside of the classroom, that's what we refer to as co-curricular, can help you build connections with the campus community and boost your critical thinking, communication, life, and leadership skills. So basically, not all of the learning that you're going to encounter in college happens directly in the classroom. You're learning from your peers. You're learning when you step foot on your campus and you engage with other people that you don't know, or that you're going to know eventually. So just being a part of things going on just really expands the opportunities that are available to you, and ultimately how you view the world, and gives you a way to practice skills that are useful to you in the whole rest of your life. And you can see some of those skills in this second bullet point here: critical thinking skills. So there are going to be complex issues that come up in things that you're involved in. How do you process and work through that? How do you communicate effectively about responsibilities that you have, obligations of, maybe you join a club and you can't go to the meeting, or you take on a leadership position and you got to talk with other folks. So it's a way to practice, how do I communicate well with others? Multicultural competence. SJSU is an extremely diverse campus. We have almost 10 to 15% international students coming from other countries. So just by being a part of other opportunities on campus, you're going to encounter folks from different backgrounds that can, again, provide knowledge and context for you that you didn't know before. Active citizenship, that basically means like knowing what's going on in the world around you and how you can help. There's so many informational events that happen on campus based on current events and what folks are trying to do to enact change, both on the local, state, and federal level. I won't read all of the rest of them, but you can see on here, discover their leadership and interpersonal style. So only by doing things can you really figure out, like, who am I as a person? What is my voice? How can I influence others? And what does that look like for me in the future? That's really what being involved co-curricularly is all about: having a testing ground to really craft your identity as a person in professional spaces. And want to provide on this next slide here, just so I think maybe the term reality check is a little too harsh, but I think this illustrates really effectively why having co-curricular involvements is really important. Because when you came to college, this is probably what you thought your journey to graduation would look like, right? You just keep pedaling, you just go to class, you take your finals, and you get done. You do it eventually, right? And it's sunshine and rainbows, and there's a butterfly here, and things are great, right? Well, you probably have had some bumps in the road along that journey, right? It hasn't been smooth sailing. I know for me, it definitely wasn't. Maybe there's a cliff that you fell off of when you didn't realize you had a test that day, and maybe you didn't do so well on that test. Maybe there's a bridge that you had to cross when you didn't know what classes you needed to register for next, right? Or you missed a class for whatever reason and you didn't know, hey, what assignment did we have? So college is not smooth sailing, and if it has been for you thus far, I celebrate that very much for you, because there's a lot of challenges that come across your path while you're a college student, and just having a network of people that you can rely on to share information with you, to be there to support you in the tough moments, to offer you that grace and understanding when things aren't going quite your way. That's a part of like the hidden benefit of being involved in college as well. I know I really try and rely on myself, and I'm not good at asking for help, but I know that in college, I had a lot of friends that I could turn to when I needed that support, when I just needed someone to talk to about, oh, there's this really tough thing going on, or even just to study with, right? Like, hey, I need someone to study with and like explain these things to. Can we hang out for a bit? So I think that's a good kind of corollary to being involved on campus. There's so many people here at SJSU that can support you in whatever you need support in. And so being proactive in reaching out, developing that network for yourself can be really crucial to your success. So you're not trying to pick up the pieces after something's already fallen apart, Just checking our chat here. Everything looks good. going to go ahead and keep going here. Okay, so we talked about just being involved on campus. And let's talk a little bit more now about the leadership development area, specifically in student involvement. And when we talk about being a leader in your co-curricular community, what exactly are we hoping to achieve? So I pulled here 5 statements that our leadership development area basically exists for. Why do we do the things that we do in student involvement leadership development? I'll read them one by one here for you. So number 1, framing leadership for SJSU students as a skill set, not a position or a title. Just because you're the CEO of a company, just because you started a startup, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a leader. And vice versa. Just because you're a member of a club doesn't mean you're not a leader. Everyone has the skills and the resources to have a unique leadership identity. It's just if you want to embrace that or not. Number 2, empowering students to build confidence in their experiences and skills. A lot of times, maybe you have joined student government in high school, or you had a position in the student club, again, prior to SJSU or something like that. And maybe no one has given you that nudge to show you like, hey, you're a leader in these spaces and you're learning skills. When you do things like this, you bring value and substance to everything, all of the spaces that you enter as a person. So helping you to realize that me as an individual, I got cool stuff that I can bring to the table that's unique to me. Connecting students to opportunities across SJSU that cater to your interests and needs. So just in the same way that during weeks of welcome, we can't put on every single event. We know that in student involvement, we can't provide every single involvement on campus that will be of benefit to you. So we strive to have a deep network across our campus that we can direct students towards. So if you're really passionate about community service, that's great. You got a whole department that does community service and will be those experts for you to keep cultivating that. If you like activism and change in your community, we've got a few different departments that we can point to. So we try and be a good informational resource for you that if you're not quite sure how to leverage the passions that you have, we can find someone on campus to direct you towards. Introduce students to intentional skill building for career preparation. That's everything that this conference is about. Right? We're going to be talking about life experiences from our alumni, skills and tangible behaviors that our employer panel is looking for. And you're going to practice in the breakout sessions, right? Particular skills that you can take with you into your career. And then integrating tenets of diversity, equity, and inclusion into everyday actions and behaviors. Again, we live in an extremely diverse area. And so you're going to work with folks that do not come from similar backgrounds to you or do not share a similar life story. And so how can we incorporate everyday behaviors into your life so that you feel well equipped to have these conversations and to work well with folks that might not necessarily look like you? That's why we exist as leadership development and student involvement. And I want to dig in a little bit more specifically on the first bullet point that I put up there, as far as leadership not being a position or a title. So again, just because someone is the president of an organization, that doesn't mean they have the skill set and the tools necessarily to be an effective leader. And when we're talking about those tools and skills, they're everyday skills. So these are small little things that you can do to inspire others around you, to be an empathetic and understanding person, to be able to enact change in your community and to create a welcoming atmosphere for other people. So what I'm going to do real quick, we got a 2 or 3 minute video here that we're going to watch. And I want you to think about, as we're watching the video, who's being a leader in this video.
And now to honor America and salute the men and women serving our country with our national anthem, please welcome, as voted by you, the fans, our winner of the Toyota Get the Feeling of a Star promotion, Natalie Gilbert.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the stars like stars? Stars like last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare and the singing air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right. I would love to hear if anyone wants to type in the chat, who is being a leader in this situation? And maybe if you have a sentence or two of thoughts of why they're being a leader. Anyone has any thoughts? There's no wrong answer.
I have thoughts. Can I share?
Of course.
Okay, first of all, that's a great video. I've never seen that before, but very relatable, right? Because we've all had moments where we've kind of either felt over our head or maybe, you know, weren't prepared or feeling like we were doing something right, and someone comes in and makes us feel like it's okay or stands with us in that discomfort. So for me, I actually think that the singer shows leadership in the sense that she perseveres and continues because she has the support of what looks like a coach or someone who comes over and helps her. And so obviously he's exhibiting leadership as well, but I think both of them do.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, Anita, but I'm going to add on to it what you said. Yeah, I mean, the singer here, first and foremost, is a leader because she persisted, right? Like there was an obstacle in her way. There was a challenge that she's trying to overcome. And you know what? She didn't 100% succeed in the very beginning, right? But she kept going. You know, she was able to exhibit some characteristics of like, no, you know what? I'm not just going to quit. I'm going to fulfill my obligations. I'm going to take this help that's being offered to me by my peers around me. So absolutely, being a leader is stepping up and, you know, being able to overcome those challenges first and foremost. And I would say I do believe it's a coach here. The coach is definitely being a leader as well. Being a leader sometimes means just being that person that can provide support, someone that's knowledgeable, confident, and able to, you know, be that helping hand. He's literally putting his hand on her shoulder of like, hey, we've got this, we're in this together. And, you know, we're talking about leadership not being a position or a title. He's not a singer or anything like that. He just happened to be right next to the young woman while she's singing. So he's just in the right place in the right time to show that empathy to be that person to say, you know what, it's going to be all right. And I think if you think of your everyday life and everyday interactions that you have, just walking on campus, just being in class with someone, maybe they don't understand a concept or misunderstood something. I'm sure you can think of scenarios and situations where you could be that person. You could be that person to offer the helping hand and just be there and help someone along their journey. Absolutely, Kelly. Leadership is about supporting others in success. And I would say you don't even have to be on the basketball court to be a leader. I would argue that the way that the audience reacts, they could have been like, boo, like you stink, right? They could have reacted that way, but they didn't. They were like, you got this. They cheered her on. They kind of started singing along with her, right? So you don't even need to be a singular person to enact change and to be that positive influence. Just by being a part of your community and being that one voice that can add to the many, you're being that helping hand for others. You're inspiring someone to do things that they might not be comfortable doing, or that they need a little bit of extra support in. So I think everyone's being a leader in this video. I love showing it, and I love it as a primer of thinking, like, in your daily life as a person, what are little things that you can do to have these kinds of moments where someone feels supported with really minimal to no effort on your end? Like, he wasn't singing very well, was he? He was just there and he put his arm on her shoulder basically and started singing along with her. So that's what leadership is when we talk about it in student involvement, and what it can mean for you as a student in the here and now, and even going into your career. Running low on time, but I do just have a couple more slides for you, just expanding on some of what we were just sharing about what makes you a leader, and what can make you a unique leader in yourself. So when we're talking about what Anita's about to speak about, actually, the networking component, right? And when you're talking with a potential employer, when you're hopping into that job interview, when you're writing your cover letter for that dream position, what are things that make you stand out as an individual leader? Or what should you be thinking about in the context of you as an individual? What makes me stand out? What makes me unique? First and foremost, the values that you hold important to yourself. What are characteristics of the people that you look up to? And why do you think you value those characteristics? So I put a few examples on here: honesty, timeliness, compassion. I would say one thing that I really value is being prepared. So every meeting that I go into, I've got an agenda. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I've done my research beforehand so that when I enter that meeting, I'm effective. I speak clearly and coherently. I've well thought out my thoughts and opinions on the subjects. And that influences how I carry myself as a person in a professional space. And people can expect, like, oh, Jordan's in this meeting, like he's going to know what he's talking about, right? And so that's just one example. So if you really value compassion and empathy, how would that show up in a professional space? And what kind of skills does that give you over other folks, and how you communicate that? So that's one way to think about values. So I encourage you to think about 2 or 3 different traits like that really inform how you show up in academic or even professional spaces, and how that influences how you go about your daily life, right? Your life experiences ultimately inform how you see the world, right? So without dating myself too much, I was going through high school during the financial crisis of the late 2000s. And so that was a life moment where my immediate family experienced some hardship. We had to make some tough financial decisions. And I like to think that I still carry that with me. And so when we're talking about finances in my professional life, that's something that's very important to me. I don't mess around with other people's money. I'm very upfront and clear of like, hey, we're spending X, Y, and Z amounts on stuff. So I'm sure you can think of other experiences that you've had. Maybe you had to move to a new high school. Maybe you moved to a new state. Maybe there were some, tragic life events that happened, unfortunately, that change how you view people around you. So it can be both good and bad life experiences ultimately that give you that unique lens, that unique perspective of, oh, I look at things a little bit differently now because this very pivotal thing happened to me in my life. And those are the types of things that you can think about and, depending on what it is, even share in those professional spaces so that folks remember you and they have something tangible to think back on as far as like, oh, that's a unique perspective that this person shared. I also wanted to acknowledge cultural backgrounds, ultimately shape us and help us perceive things differently. Depending on your racial ethnic background, your family structure might have been a little bit different. The way that you perceive family, for example. So a good example of this is a lot of like Latinx students. They might have multiple generations of their family living in the same house, and so what is your perspective on family and teamwork and obligations to others when that's your family situation growing up, as opposed to, it's just you and your mom and your dad, or you and your guardians, whatever you want to call that, so that's just one small little perspective into your cultural background, and how that can shape you as a leader and as a person. And just reiterating the on a daily basis down here, how you carry yourself and act on a daily basis. You're always being a leader, like it or not. When you're entering spaces, when you're entering the classroom, when you're entering this Zoom meeting, to be quite honest with you, folks have a perception of you, and that perception matters. So I like to describe it as 24/7 leadership, being very cognizant of the places that I'm going on campus and how are folks perceiving me in those spaces. Doesn't even have to be on campus too. If you walk into that restaurant or the example I usually use is if you're going to a bar off campus, if you're of age, and you're conducting yourself in a certain way in that bar, how are people going to perceive you? San Jose is smaller than you might think, even though a lot of people live here. So all of these things can really add up to give you a unique perspective on you as a leader and how you show up in professional spaces. Okay, and I can already hear the Oscar music starting to play. So I'm just going to take just a few more minutes. My apologies, Anita. Wanted to share a few more opportunities. So we've got our leadership catalog available on our student involvement website. Like I was sharing earlier about, connecting students to opportunities across San Jose State. Our leadership catalog exists to, provide all of that in a formal nature. So you can see here, there are mentorship opportunities, career and skill development, academic programs, resources available on campus, that don't take place in our office, but we collect that information and share it with you so that you can explore that on your own. So I just wanted to plug that real quick. And we also have the Build Experience Guide available through the Career Center. Anita, I'm not sure if you're able to say just a quick piece about the Build Experience Guide.
Sure. So I just popped the Build Experience Guide link into the chat, so you all can open it and look at the table of contents there. And there's also links back to the leadership catalog within that. And the guide is really meant for helping you identify different types of skills that you are currently developing as a student, whether it's in the classroom or co-curricular. And then activities that exist on campus where you can actually practice or develop those skills. And then also how you can put that together as far as identifying transferable skills that you might want to build through specific jobs or internships. And then also a little bit about creating some goals so that you stay on track with well, when am I going to build, my leadership experience, or when would I actually have time to join that org, and so you can put some structure to it to make sure that you build those experiences that you want before you graduate.
That's excellent. Thank you, Anita. That's a
Yep.
really great resource for students trying to figure all of that out. So I appreciate you sharing. And just saying one more piece about resources on campus. Like I just mentioned, student involvement is not the end all be all for being involved on campus. I've put the logos of just a few different SJC organizations on here, but highly encourage you, even if a student club isn't right for you, a fraternity or a sorority isn't quite right for you, there are still outlets for you to develop as a leader at our institution. And quite frankly, some of them can develop you in different ways that student involvement may not necessarily be able to. So for example, if you hold a particular racial ethnic identity, you can link up with one of our cultural centers. We have an APITA Cultural Center, a Black Leadership and Opportunity Center, and the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center. So in those spaces, you can connect with other students of your affinity group and learn more about leadership in the context of your culture, just as one example. But I'm definitely over on time by now. These slides will be available to everyone that signed up afterwards. I want to make sure I don't go too much over. So that's my spiel. You might want to take a screenshot here if you have any questions about student involvement overall. Our general email address is getinvolved@sjsu.edu. I was saying our website here, sjsu.edu/getinvolved. Also follow us on Instagram. We're always posting new events that are coming up. We've got over 5,000 followers. Very proud of that. So that's @WowSJSU if you don't follow us already. So thanks. And I'm going to turn it over now to Anita to lead us in some of the networking activities and thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. I'm inspired now, like everyone can lead. And lots of great opportunities. I'm going to switch over now to talking about some of the specifics of exactly what does networking look like, and what do I say at these conferences, and how do I maybe make some small talk or get to know people. Before we go into the next slide, I just know that some of us have been, you've been hanging really good. I want to make sure we stretch a little bit. So if y'all want to take a stretch break, I'm going to put my arms up like this. Feel free. Go to the left. And you don't be embarrassed because you have your, you don't have to come off your video, but it always feels good to kind of move around a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to do a really easy warm up because part of this is going to be us practicing some networking. And believe it or not, we're already doing this now. So those of you who are here now in the chat, there's been networking going on. You've been doing virtual networking and maybe didn't even realize it. So shout out to Lillian. Lillian, if you're out there, hey. So Lillian, she was really great while Jordan was talking about orgs. Lillian, and I don't know, Lillian, if you feel comfortable coming off mute, and just a shout out to your club, but you're part of the Bullet Journaling Club, is that right?
Hi, yeah, I'm the president of the SJSU Journal Squad. It's a club that's dedicated to creating a community of students who like to bullet journal. Bullet journaling is like a method of planning that you do in a blank journal. And it's kind of like writing out your to-dos in weekly spreads and then monthly like calendar spreads. It's a really good method to keep you organized because I know like some people have jobs, some people have classes, some people have internships, and it's a really good way to keep all of that in like one place so that you know like what you have going on within a certain week.
That's awesome. So the only reason I know that exists is because Lillian put it in the chat, and I was like, okay, I need this in my life. So I would love to attend one of these workshops. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, can we share that through the Career Center? Because we always want students to like know about opportunities, but this is a great skill as well. like an organizational skill. So she already showed up. That's being a leader, and she's networking. So you all are already doing it. So I wanted to give you a real world example. Thanks, Lillian. I know I
Yeah,
put you on the
course.
spot there, but that's virtual networking. We're doing it right now. Okay, now we can go into the next slide. Awesome. Okay, so I want everyone to engage with me. There's just 16 of us here, so it's all good. What comes to mind when you hear the word networking? And you can put it in the chat, but like instantly when you hear networking, or I'm going to a conference and I have to network, what comes to mind? Okay, Kelly says fear. I see making connections, connecting with people, collaboration, lots of people talking at the same time. So, you know, that's great. Some of these are actually really positive. Communication, absolutely. If you can click one more time, Kelly. Usually when I'm working with students, or we get some of this, right? Like anxiety around talking to other people. Like when they hear the word networking can like elicit like, oh, I don't know how to do that. And what am I supposed to say? And that's like, there's a right way to connect with people. I really love this image because it reminds me of conferences I've attended in the past. I will share that I'm an introvert. I am not big on in-person networking, which is ironic because in my job, all I do is in-person networking and teaching people how to network. But I'm going to teach you some tips that help make this whole process much easier, and a little bit of preparation goes a long way. So hopefully you don't feel like the people on the outside who, you know, this anxiousness of wanting to have someone to talk to, the other person's alone and like no one's engaging me. So we're going to hopefully get you out of any of those feelings. Okay, Jordan's in my introverted class. Okay. And also, I just want to put it out there that it's been a while, you know, since COVID, I guess, is somewhat over. I don't even know if we're like what phase we are in of post-COVID, whatever existence, but we haven't actually had a chance to in-person network in a long time, let alone just socialization. So I don't know how it's been this semester being more on campus, how you all are feeling, how comfortable or not. But it's okay if you're not feeling super comfortable, because we're out of practice of having to like go up to some stranger and say hello and introduce ourselves. So that is totally normal. All right, next slide. I know, Christine, I totally agree. She put out there that COVID has affected us all for sure in so many ways, but also started to gain some introverted tendencies. Yeah, so even if you were like always a little social or more comfortable being extroverted, this time in isolation and some of the I would say trauma that we've all collectively experienced may have also made us just a little bit more standoffish, just because we've had to practice like distancing and masking and all of that. So absolutely. Okay. I think I've already convinced you that you actually network every day. And so I want you to think, even I wish we had bullet journaling now, but do a little bullet list if you can. Just take some inventory of people that are already in your network. Okay. And we don't always think of this. We usually think like professional networking is with employers, which it definitely is, or people that I don't know yet, right? But actually, your network starts with a smaller circle of those that you are already connected to. So coworkers, family and friends, peers and classmates. Guess what? Jordan, me, and Kelly are now part of your network. Okay, so now you know some more people who can help make introductions or support you or listen to what your goals are and be positive connectors to help you reach whatever that next level is for you or whatever you have a question about. Also, I guess the beauty of COVID is now we are all really good. I mean, we're having this whole training session in virtual land. So virtual networking works. It's fine if you only have some opportunities to do these things and connect with people via Zoom. Everyone's kind of used to that. But also there is an an importance for in-person networking too, because we're humans and relationship building in person actually has been proven to be more sustaining, right? So you can do it both ways. I'm going to talk about strategies that work in both ways because we're offering a hybrid conference. Okay. Thank you. Next slide. So how do you currently make connections? Obviously, your classmates are easy connections because you're all in the same course. And the main goal of any kind of networking or connection is to find commonality with someone else. And that is really the key. What can we find in common? And having the same class is probably a very easy thing in common, right? Faculty are also a great network that you have access to now. So how many of you actually go to office hours? And if you want to raise your hand, I can't see everyone. So if you're not on. Okay, Lillian goes to office hours. Christine has gone to office hours. So if you're brave enough, for those of you who have gone to office hours, how has that been connecting with faculty outside the classroom? Was it a positive experience? Was it helpful?
I think for me personally, I think it's easier to connect with your professors outside the classroom so that you can get to know them on a more personal level, like outside of learning from their lectures.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really valuable experience because they might be able to connect you with opportunities that you weren't aware of, but that they have in their own network.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then Christine, if you feel like sharing in the chat at all, go for it. If not, no big deal. But I think that's one missed opportunity. That's like an easy access point is you already have a connection because you're in that person's class, and faculty, when they're hosting office hours, really care about connecting with you and then helping you with any challenges, but also connecting you with a network related to either your major or the course or field that you're in. Jordan did an amazing job of talking about all the campus events that you can participate in to connect. Career Center, we actually offer a ton of events as well, mostly related to internship and career development, but also the skills building like we're doing now. We do like networking, interviewing, and we bring employers to campus. So if you want to actually engage more and practice some of these skills with future employers, I'll have Kelly pop in maybe a link to our program calendar, but all of our events are posted on Handshake. And then alumni, that is the next most important network for you to tap into, because the thing that you all have in common is that you all went to SJSU. You're all Spartans. And I love me some Spartans because people who are Spartans are proud. They help each other out. They're connected. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the highest number of alumni at Apple, most graduates, where do you think they're from? It's easy. This is an easy answer.
Are they from
Stanford.
SJSU?
They are from SJSU. There are Spartans everywhere in this valley. So if you're looking to connect with a specific organization or company, and you go on to LinkedIn and you do an alumni search by SJSU, you're going to see a lot of Spartans out there that are really open to helping. And so this conference is trying to bring those resources here for you, so you don't have to do all the outreach. You can just show up and be meeting with these people who are really open to supporting you and your goals. Okay, and I won't get into all of the, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, we have another, we actually have a mentoring platform that we vet alumni and professionals who say they want to meet with Spartans to do informational interviews or to network, and it's called SJSU Squared. You all have access to it. So I'm going to have, if Kelly doesn't mind putting that link to SJSU Squared in the chat.
Already done.
Oh, she's awesome. Okay. Can you click one more time on this slide for me, Kelly? What I want to emphasize is, where can you make connections in a safe place? And click one more time. it's next week's leadership conference. Okay, so if you guys are not convinced yet, this is a friendly, safe place to practice these leadership skills, practice communicating, practice introducing yourself to someone in which everyone is supportive. So like, just like that clip that, the video clip that Jordan showed earlier, like this conference is like that whole crowd plus the coach. Like we're just all there to help you move forward and to test things out. Like, you know, maybe there's someone that is like, maybe someone's like, oh gosh, Lillian talked about that bullet journal club. I kind of want to learn more, but I don't know, like I maybe I'll see her at the conference. Maybe I will try to introduce myself to her and just ask her more about it. And even though that's a small little step, it's a step that now you've taken, that you've practiced, which makes you feel more comfortable doing that with other people. Okay, and then I just want to let you know that the Leadership and Career Conference, the focus is on exploring and learning. Okay, no one has to be a professional networker. You may not even have a particular like job or internship in mind. That's fine. This is the kind of place where you can explore and learn and ask questions and hopefully get some ideas about how you might want to use these skills in the future, or the types of jobs that exist. Like maybe you go to the City of San Jose session, you're like, I had no idea that people work in sustainability and, you know, measure electricity for the, I mean, I did not know that. So you're going to learn a lot of great stuff by just showing up. Next slide, please. Okay, I think I kind of already mentioned this, but there's going to be two ways to network: in person and virtual. And then I think there's a question here, so you can click one more time for me. I'm just curious, I'm just gauging interest here. Which do you guys prefer right now? The idea of like in person or virtual networking? And you can put it in the chat if you want.
Honestly, I would say in-person networking. I find when I've gone to virtual conferences, I'm like staring at my own Zoom camera the whole time. And that's not an option in person.
That's true. Yeah, so it's really interesting. The chats are like in person, in person, in person. I actually prefer in person too. Remember, I started off saying like, well, I'm an introvert and I don't really. Once I get warmed up, or if I'm passionate about the topic, which I'm assuming most of you are because you're here, then it's much easier, I think, to be in person. And there's something really, I miss that. This is me personally. There is an interpersonal connection when you can see someone's face and make eye contact that is really important developing relationships. When's the upcoming in-person networking session? Praneeth, that is a wonderful question. And it's next week at our Leadership and Career Conference, Friday the 21st. And I will ask Jordan or Kelly to put in the link for registration. And this whole thing that we're doing today is to prep for that in-person networking event. Okay, great. Next slide, please. Okay, so my first tip for all of you: successful networking, especially in person, well, actually, this is true for virtual too, is you got to prepare. Okay, so one thing I want you to start thinking about is, what is your goal? Like, why do you want to go to this conference? And everyone's goal might be different, and that's totally fine. But you got to kind of think about like, why am I coming to this? And that will help you determine, what do I want to get out of it, which will help you determine sessions that I want to attend, people that I want to meet, etc. The easiest way to do that is to review the event schedule, which Kelly had gone over earlier. If you just joined us and missed the event schedule, let's see. If you register or check in,
I'll put the shareable agenda in the chat right now.
Perfect. Kelly will put it in the chat. And then do a little homework. Do a little bit of research on so what I love is that we already have the list of the employer panelists and the alumni panelists. Would go to LinkedIn, type in their names, the easiest way to just review their profile, a little bit of background, so you have an idea of who this person is and what the commonalities are for you and for them, right? So beyond like maybe SJSU, like if they're coming to a leadership conference, I'm assuming there's some interest in leadership. If it's beyond that, maybe it's the type of industry that they're in that you're also curious about. Maybe you have the same major as the alumni. So doing some of that ahead of time makes it easier to find conversation topics. I also really encourage you to have a positive attitude and an open mind. I have gone to some conferences before, and they would host a networking session at the end of the day. And you're like tired and you've gone to all these sessions. And I'm like, oh, I really don't want to go to this networking session. I'm an introvert. I want to be in my room and watching a Netflix show. But no, I'm professional, right? Like as Jordan was saying, there's an expectation. And for me, one of my values is if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, right? I meet my commitments. And if I said I was going to go to this networking session, then I'm going to show up, right? And then once I go and like switch my attitude to like, well, maybe I'll meet someone new, or maybe, I was really curious about speaking to this one speaker that I didn't get a chance to because the line was so long after their session. Maybe I'll run into them. And at the very least, at least I'll get free food. Okay, so there's always a win, and there will be food at this conference. And then dress for the occasion. So I think Jordan mentioned earlier too, like first impressions are very important. How long do you think it takes the average person to kind of create an impression or an idea of you just by looking at you? And you guys can throw your answers in the chat. Like, how long does it take someone to have like, I'm looking at you and I'm making an impression about you? Yeah, Christine, a few seconds. It's like in the first 3 seconds. And some of it is not even conscious, right? You're like already like, what are they wearing? What do they look like? Are they smiling? Are they friendly? And that's just a human way of like determining if you're safe or not, right? This comes from like years of evolution where we had to deem really quickly, safe situation. Am I going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or not? Like, is this person a friend or a foe? So we can't necessarily change that about ourselves, but know that that's very normal for everyone to kind of have a quick impression of you. Because this is a professional conference, so to speak, it might be your first conference. The way we dress, the way we communicate, we smile or not smile, those nonverbals, they do affect, whether or not someone else is going to feel comfortable talking to you, or if they think that you're friendly and inviting or not. And for this event, business casual is recommended. If you don't have any business casual, and I'll show you what business casual might look like, but it's from this conference, even if you have a nice pair of jeans, but let's say a blazer and a nice shirt, or for those who prefer wearing like a skirt or a dress, that's fine. You don't have to wear a full suit. You don't have to wear a tie, unless, that's your thing. And you're like, I'm coming dressed to impress because I haven't had my ability to wear my suit in like 4 years. That's all good, but it's not expected. So business casual is fine. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. That's true. I agree with Christine. Yeah, the nonverbal is hard in virtual. Do I have to register for the event and handshake for in-person? Yes, Praneeth, you do. And I'll have Kelly, I think she sent the link to register and handshake. Okay, I think that's good for business dress. If you can click one more time. Let's look at an example, right? So this person here, this lovely student, she actually has professional business casual dress on. I think she's wearing black jeans, a black top, and then she just kind of put over like a cute little like camel blazer. It looks great. So her goal is to learn how others develop leadership skills. So when she's listening to the sessions, that's what she's probably going to focus on. And her goal is to meet 2 new people. Okay, awesome. The event schedule, she's really excited about the alumni and employer panel, so she's going to be sure to make that, and she really wants to attend the networking lunch. Anything else might be gravy on top of that, but those are the 2 main things that this particular student wants to attend. And then her homework is going to be to look up the panelists on LinkedIn, and then just to practice her introduction. And we're going to practice that a little bit, so don't worry. And then for her dress, she's going to plan it a little bit ahead of time. I'm going to wear my nice pair of jeans, and then I have this new blazer that I wanted to wear. Okay. And then what I forgot to mention is if you don't have professional or business professional, because COVID, everyone, we've been wearing sweatpants for the last 2 years. We actually do have access to make appointments through our career closet. So there will be special, I'm going to defer.
I'm going to jump in. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm jumping in. There will be an email that goes out today. So if you were here today, you will get that email. If you are already registered as of the end of today for next week's event, you will get that email, and it will provide you information about how to sign up for special career closet appointments that we have set aside just for our Spartan Leadership and Career Conference participants. So nobody else will be competing with you for those appointment slots. It will be next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't know the times off the top of my head, but we have an email address for the career closet, and I will put it in the chat, careercloset@sjsu.edu. You email them, you forward the email saying you're invited to these special sessions in order to get a professional outfit for this event or any other future event. You will get an entire outfit to keep for free. And you can do this every single year you are at San Jose State. So, this will be year one for this year. And then if you're continuing with us in the fall, you'll have another opportunity to build your closet that way, regardless of whether you're trying to build something for a specific event or whether you just want to increase your professional wardrobe. Yes, Christine.
I have a question. So I was here for last year's academic year, but I didn't get my professional outfit then, but I did get my professional outfit for this academic year. So first off, I think I have two questions. First off,
no, I got you.
Am I able to get my professional
the special outfit? Let me ask. I will make sure I get that answer so that I can include it in the email that will go out today. Okay. That's an excellent question. But I don't know the answer yet. I hadn't thought about that. Was there a second question, Christine?
That was one of my questions, was like, if I already got my professional outfit for this academic year, how does that work if I'm attending the event? Right. And then for if us students do not get our professional outfit for the previous academic year, is that was just a missed opportunity, or is there a way where we can get the opportunity? Yeah, I don't think they roll over because then we'd have seniors coming in and say, let me just get 4 outfits. So I don't know that we can have them roll over, but I will advocate for this being an exception regardless of whether you've attended the career closet this year or not. So, but I will verify that and make sure that that is clear in the email that will go out today. Okay. Thank you for the question,
Christine. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so I apologize. Now that I look at this, all the examples here are for feminine outfits or outfits that are primarily female. But for men, I would say, are those who want to wear, pants or a jacket, wearing a nice pair of jeans with a jacket or blazer, or khakis with a shirt or polo work just fine. If you are coming to the event in person, then I would also pay attention to shoes. So I know that sometimes students will want to dress professionally, and if you haven't worn let's say a nice pair of shoes in a while, or heels, keep in mind that you might be moving around a lot. So I don't want you to have your feet killing you at the end of this thing. So if you want to wear, just make sure that you pick shoes that are comfortable. If you wear sneakers, I mean, people can make really cool kicks work for almost anything now. That's the cool thing about, I think, business cash. But just, avoid flip-flops. I would avoid cut out, anything that has fringe on the bottom. That just looks a little bit, what I would say is maybe not fully put together. Also, if you want to bring a notebook or notepad, that's fine. If you want to bring your backpack, that's fine. I would not bring, if you're riding a scooter or something, a a skateboard, I would probably try to leave that at home or in a dorm room or within a car, because one, it's just clunky, but two, it doesn't look super professional if like you're kind of coming in with your scooter and parking it somewhere. So like try to leave those things at home if possible. For virtual, I mean, it is going to be, just your head in the screen. So like make sure like the top, if you want to wear your PJs on the bottom and have the top like I have on now, this has got a little collar with a sweater, that's totally fine. Just remember, if you stand up, everyone's going to know that you have PJ bottoms on. Okay, moving on, next slide please. Okay, so step 2 is you got to know your audience, and we're going to talk about 2 different ways of networking and connecting. One is called professional small talk versus your professional pitch. Okay, professional small talk is something that happens more like, let's say, in informal settings. Yeah, exactly, Christine. Professional pitch is the same thing as an elevator pitch. Professional small talk might happen with your peers, like this conference. It might happen also with colleagues. It might also happen with people that you meet through, let's say you're at a dinner or something and someone introduces you to someone else and you guys kind of start talking a little bit about what you do and who you are. So especially in Western culture, like what we do, what we study comes out pretty quickly. Oh, I'm so-and-so. Oh, what do you do? Where do you work? So that's okay. That can be informal. It's not always career focused, right? I think you're going to find more professional small talk at this conference. That's not to say that if you are actively looking for an internship or job, that you couldn't start doing some professional pitching at this conference. A professional pitch has a very specific goal in mind. You're pitching yourself, so to speak, to either meet someone, position yourself for an internship or job or position. Pitches have happened before, like if people are interested in moving up in an organization, looking to have a raise, looking to have a promotion. It's something where you're going to put out more than just, hi, who are you? Like, what do you like? What do you do? It's more about, I'm really good at XYZ and I'm trying to position myself for your consideration on whatever that goal is. So it can be more formal, but it can also happen in informal settings, because if you have a specific goal, like, like at this event, the city manager is going to be there and you've been wanting an internship at the city forever. And so in addition to maybe some casual professional small talk with others, when you see that city manager, you're going to pitch them. So it can happen, both can happen in the same type of event. Usually professional pitches are career related, and they happen with employers or recruiters, sometimes with your boss or a hiring manager if you're wanting to elevate for another role. And should be career focused as far as it should be really specific what your ask is and what you're offering in value. Okay, next slide, please. Professional small talk, that's what we're going to focus on today because it's the warm up, it's the easiest thing to do, and it will really help you get ready for the pitch. You introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Anita. It's so nice to meet you. Name tags. Okay, let's talk name tags are essential. And I'm hoping we will have name tags. But if you're like me, it's hard I never forget a face, but I do sometimes forget names. Name tags really help me, especially if I see the same person in a different session. So make sure you have your name tag on. Write your name. I usually, for students, say write your name and major. It's just helpful. Yep, Christine, hi, my name is, it's nice to meet you, absolutely. Ask open-ended questions. So open-ended questions just, allow the other person to share like information with you fairly easily. Like, oh, what brought you to the conference today? Oh, I noticed that your major is business management and so is mine. What is it? What classes are you taking right now? So anything that's open-ended will prompt someone to give you some information. Now, regardless of professional pitch or casual conversation for a professional setting, please avoid politics, religion, and other controversial topics, right? That's kind of just one-on-one networking. Keep it focused on the event or the speakers or the industry. Try not to go down a rabbit hole of things that might be more personal in nature. Thank you, Kelly. Open-ended questions are those that cannot be answered by yes or no. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's take a look at what this can look like. So here are two people in what looks like more of a casual professional small talk situation. And then if you click one more time for me, Kelly, the student introduces themselves as, hi, my name is Evan. I just attended your keynote. It was really inspiring. Okay, next. And then the keynoter or professional says, oh, hi, Evan, very nice to meet you. I'm Katie. Thanks for attending my talk. How are you enjoying the conference? And then, so that's an open-ended. The student says, it's been great. As a business marketing major, I was hoping to learn more about how to develop leadership skills. Your talk on authentic leadership really resonated with me. So what specifically about their talk, or why you're talking to them, make that connection? So authentic leadership really resonated with me. What types of experiences helped you develop your leadership style? And then that prompts the other person to give you information about the topic or the idea that you're most curious about. What Evan did really well is that she was brave enough to approach the person. Hi, my name is, so nice to meet you, or I really enjoyed your talk. Thank you. You're giving them a compliment. You're friendly, makes people want to talk to you. And then what is it about their talk or the panel that really resonated with you? And a prompting question like, can you tell me more about this experience? Or can you tell me more about how you were able to overcome that challenge, or whatever it is that they were talking about? So that's an example of like a small talk conversation. Christine is putting like awesome tips already, so you can look at that in the chat too. So thank you for sharing knowledge. What brought you over to the conference today? Great question. I noticed that your major is, what classes are you taking right now? All awesome questions for that. So now I'm going to make you practice, because we're going to do this either next week in person or virtual. And I promise it's going to be not hard. It'll be easy. Okay, so next slide, please. We're going to put you in pairs in breakout rooms. And we're going to time this. So you're going to ask your partner the following prompt questions, and you'll get a minute each. So it'll go fast, right? All I want you to do is introduce yourself, share what your name is. Hi, my name is Anita. I'm majoring in what your major is, and then where you're from. And then you'll pause, you'll share your information, and then your partner will do the same. You'll have a minute to do that. And then once you both share that, you might be tempted to just go into conversation, because I bet you're probably going to find a commonality right there, which is great. But if you can click on the next one more time, Kelly. After you do your intros, I want you to ask each other these questions, and you'll get 2 minutes. So there'll be 3 total minutes, and then regardless of where you are, we're going to pull you back into the big room. But I just want you to start kind of getting the feel for making new connections and asking some really common questions of each other. The second part, after you introduce yourselves to each other and where you're from, is I want you to ask the person, your partner, what do you hope to gain from this conference? And you're going to practice your active listening skills because you're going to probably have to repeat back like, oh, I know someone, or if I see you at the conference, I'll be sure to remind you of what you were looking for, or that I heard something or met a person that might be helpful. And then also, what resource or person are you hoping to connect with? Because this is also going to help your partner think about, well, I don't know, I'm not sure yet, or I need to look at the agenda. So it's going to be a good prompt either way, even if they don't have an answer. Okay. Do we have rooms set up?
I am going to open them in a moment. We are going to have probably a couple of rooms with 3 people so that nobody's alone, because people heard they were going to have to practice and started dropping off the meeting. So the numbers have changed.
No. Okay.
So I'm going to open up
okay.
breakouts right now. You will automatically be assigned to a breakout. So when I click the button, you will be prompted to join a room with someone.
For the sake of time, I want to make sure you have time for questions. We'll go to the next slide. Click one more time, please. So we won't practice the professional pitch. If this was just a full networking workshop, we would be doing this as well. So don't worry, you won't have to practice again. But I do want you to have an idea of what key information should go into a professional pitch. And you'll see the image here is of someone in an elevator. So this is also known as the elevator pitch. The idea that if you met someone in an elevator and you had like 60 seconds from where you enter to where the floor that you're going to reach, could you convince them of something, right? That's the pitch. So in a concise amount of time, you need to be able to share, like for where you're all at as students, like what you're studying, your major, what is it that you're interested in? Usually it's related to a specific job or internship. So what is that job or internship? And then highlight one or two key experiences or projects maybe that identify the skills that you're most proud of. You probably can't honestly get through a project and experience or two projects or two experiences in an elevator pitch. So usually it's like one example, one thing, one project I did that I was so proud of. I got an A on this project. And the reason I was so proud of it is because I had to use like my analytical skills, or I had to do a presentation to a class of 60 people. So like, what is that one thing that highlights the skill sets that you think would be valuable to that person that you're pitching? And then if they asked you like, well, so how do you think this would benefit my organization? Think ahead of time, like what that experience, how that would align with that person's organization, the future goals of that organization. So it's a very specific pitch, right, for a very specific person. You can do it in 60 seconds. 60 seconds goes by really fast. So that's why we say you should practice this. But also the reality is just give enough information so the person wants to keep talking to you. So like when you get to that floor and the doors open, a person is like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. I'd love to learn more. How can we connect? Or you can ask like, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Old school, it would be, do you have a business card that I can follow up with? I still carry business cards, some people do, but like LinkedIn is probably like the most common way of reconnecting with someone. Yeah, Christine, do your research before making that pitch. And usually, not that you're stalking the person, but you have a pretty good idea of who you're trying to pitch when you're doing a professional pitch. Okay, the next slide, please. We have just a few minutes left. I was gonna have this is an example of a pitch that someone gave, and then we're gonna talk about how you could improve it. But I'll go ahead and we'll just do the example. So this person said, I recently graduated from college. During school, I also worked on the college newspaper. I'm looking for a job that will use my writing skills. This person, well, they probably should have said, hello, my name is, or hi, are you so-and-so? It's so nice to meet you. But there's ways that's a decent start. Maybe this is a draft, but this would not be your final pitch. So how could we make this better? If you can click one more time, Kelly. And click one more. Okay, there we go. So here is a new improved one. Hello, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. It's nice to meet you. My name is Anita Manuel. I'm just using Kelly as the example because we don't have an intro here. I actually was really excited to talk to you because I recently graduated from San Jose State University with a degree in communications, where I worked at the college newspaper as a reporter and eventually as the editor of the arts section. It was as the editor that I also led my first team of writers. I'm actually looking for a copy editor position where I can contribute my journalistic and leadership experience. I just saw that you posted a copy editor position at your company. Would love to learn more. So if you click one more time, there's some very specific content that's been added to flesh it out. Where did you go to school? Why? Because you're a Spartan, you should be proud, and there's Spartans everywhere. So that is an instant connector. What did you study? Instantly tells me like, are you more in line for the marketing department or HR or software engineering, right? So major helps orient someone very quickly. The example. the experience. This person took their time or work or project working for the school paper, talked about that they were elevated to the editor for the arts section. So there's a growth there. And that they also had leadership experience because in that role as editor, they led a team of writers. And now I'm looking for a specific job, copy editor, using journalism and leadership experience. And I know that you just posted this job. So the research has been done, okay?
And I'll just add real quickly that the idea here is not to have a script that you've memorized that you're going to go up to people and deliver as a monologue. The idea is to treat it like a conversation. So and we talk about these preparations so that you can practice so that it becomes natural, not so that you have specific wording that you're going to use every single time, because different conversations are going to require different highlights, different information. You're going to be addressing people in different situations. So you're not memorizing a script that you're going to go dump on somebody in 60 seconds. You're actually, practicing what kinds of things you want to highlight in your introduction to someone. And as Anita just showed in her example, ending with a question is always a good way to continue the conversation. So I'd love to hear more about this position that I saw posted, or what school years do you tend to hire for your internships, or whatever it is that the question that you have is.
Awesome. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, click again. Okay. Final tips. Be kind to yourself. Many of us feel anxious about networking, and also we're out of practice. Can you click again, please, Kelly? Remember, we've been out of practice, so having some anxiety or forgetting how to socialize again is normal, and it's okay. And if you feel comfortable in this setting saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, let me start again, or I'm a little bit nervous, this is a safe place to say that. Also, if you're feeling stuck at any time during the conference, come find one of us. Find Kelly, find Jordan, find me, find our staff will all be wearing our little shirts. They're blue with our logos on them. We can help you. We can introduce you to someone if that is helpful. So you're not alone, right? So don't do it alone. If you want, bring a friend. Absolutely tell your friends, attend with a buddy. I love doing this. Just be sure that you don't only talk to your buddy, like talk to others as well. Find others who are alone and start a conversation with them. So if you can click again for me, Kelly. Please include him. If you see someone looking anxious, be kind, right? And let's help each other out, and then click again for me. Talk to this person. So, introduce yourself. If you see someone struggling, let's be kind to each other. We're all here to support each other. And as we saw, that is a form of leadership, is the empathic servant leadership, helping others be successful. Take notes. So bring some notepads. You will have an agenda for the in-person, just people that you meet, things that they talk about. So when you follow up or you want to connect on LinkedIn, you can make something very tailored, a message as to why you want to connect with them so they can remember you. Don't feel overwhelmed by the volume, like I have to meet everyone at this conference. Focus on meaningful connections. Even if you're, meet 2 new people, that's 2 new people in your network that you've practiced, made a relationship with, may even stay connected. That's a win, right? And then if possible, and maybe for future events, and we should probably think about this, try to take on a role with the event. So like if you want to be a greeter or the note taker, sometimes for conferences, they're like, can someone please pass out the surveys at the end of this session? It gives you a role and a reason to be somewhere. And so it doesn't feel as weird that you might be just talking to strangers, because it's your job to talk to them because you're passing out surveys or you're taking the notes. So that's also something to consider. And then last but not least, last click. Food. If there's nothing else, like you don't know where to go or who to talk to, always go to the food table. Okay, there's always someone there that you can easily be like, oh, this looks good, or what are they serving today? Or, it's always a good place. Like if you don't know what to do with yourself, you can kind of look busy. Even if you're not hungry, you're like, okay, I'll just pretend like I'm looking at food. And then inevitably another food person's going to be there. And we're like, oh, and you can start a conversation. So I have been saved many a times with the food table. And with that, that is my section done. And we're at closing.
So these are just some questions to think about. I was going to have people respond, but since we're already at noon, I want to respect people's time, and I'm just going to run through these. Thinking about, what did you learn about leadership today? If you were here for Jordan's section on leadership and student involvement, did you learn something new? Did you find out about a club that you didn't know about? Did you find out about an aspect of ways to be involved on campus? And then next question is, what have you learned about networking today? Did you learn something new? Did something that was shared resonate with you? And then hopefully the overall goal of this session is to help you feel confident in navigating the conference next Friday, whether that's just what's going to happen versus what parts are in person, what parts are virtual, how do I approach this? What should I expect? And so if there's any questions, I can take maybe one, but you can also email all of us if you have questions about the things that were discussed today. We can all throw our emails in the chat. I'm going to do mine because I do have 2 more quick slides. So very important. We are offering 3 $300 Macy's shopping sprees as part of the conference next week. And there are 3 ways that you can earn an entry into the drawing for those shopping sprees. So one is attending next week's session, whether that's in person, virtual, a little bit of both. If you attend in any way, shape, or form, you will have an entry into the drawings. Because you attended today, you will get a bonus entry if you also attend next Friday. So that will be 2 entries into the drawing. And yet there is a 3rd way to get an entry into the drawing, and that is by completing the event survey for next Friday's event by Monday, October the 24th. And then we will be making those drawings, and we will be announcing via email on Friday, October 28th, 1 week after the conference, who our lucky winners were. And we will be contacting those people with specific details, because a staff member from the Career Center will be arranging to go with you all, the winners, to Macy's to pick out your $300 worth of professional gear. So good luck to all of you. The first step is to go to the conference next Friday. And because you were here, if you go to the next conference next Friday, you already have 2 entries done. And then if you want a 3rd entry, we would love to get your feedback about next week's session. So that's the important stuff about the special drawing. And then one last slide for to highlight yet another leadership opportunity that's coming up in the spring. The partner program to the fall conference is we do a spring certificate program. You don't have to have attended the conference in order to participate in the certificate program. It is an online Canvas course that we then supplement with events, whether those are in person or hybrid or virtual. We're still figuring out what spring looks like, but the certificate program is a Canvas course that has 5 different modules that you work through at your own pace throughout the spring. It is free. It is not for credit, so it doesn't affect your load for the spring as far as your academic courses. And it's just an extra opportunity to take a deeper dive into career and leadership topics. So I would invite all of you to learn more about that on the Get Involved website that you see on that slide. And thank you all for attending today's session. And I hope you all feel ready to get the most out of the Leadership and Career Conference next Friday, or any other networking opportunities you might have come your way, whether that's in-person career fairs in the spring or any other opportunities that you find to network. So Thank you all for being here. And I know we ran a little bit over time, but we will be following up with this video. We will be sending it out to all of you. We will be posting it on the Student Involvement and Career Center YouTube channels. So you will have access to this information beyond today. If you missed a part of the session, you want to go back and practice your professional pitch some more, this information will be accessible to you. And we appreciate your time and attention this morning. Thank you.